We're going on YouTube right now, man. YouTube
Shout out
is
to YouTube,
in our
man. We
future,
love y'all, man. Y'all are the greatest in
YouTube.
the world. Way better than Facebook. Man, we hate
Like,
Facebook.
subscribe, ring the bell notification,
do
do all of that little the things that we need, man.
Yeah.
And we are going live on Facebook, and we about to run
Hey,
this shit
Facebook,
up
man, y'all
intro.
cool and all. On the low.
This will be your opportunity. You should be tagged in the notification of this video. You can go to your Facebook page and then share it so your people can check you out. And we coming with a commercial for you, man. And welcome home to Just Daddy's here. Well, she's got several aliases, man. I'll say it. Every time I come in the press room, you in the press room, working on our Stars Hot-Tronic heat press, using all the vinyl, making all the picture tees. I like vinyl.
I'm about to just load these boxes up on that over.
Man, you gotta be a crazy little brother to get fired on your day off. What you get caught stealing boxes for?
Man, I didn't get caught stealing no boxes. He said he caught me though.
You get our rent paid.
Why don't you go in there and ask the girls real fast to see if they help us pay our rent?
That don't sound like a bad plan at all.
What's up, Pops?
What's up, Smokey?
I'm trying to set up a meeting with the girls, man.
Okay.
Y'all wanna help me and Craig pay our rent?
Craig still owe me money from the last time he got me. He gotta learn a lesson. He shouldn't be stealing. Go ask him to tell that girl from last night to give him some money.
What they say? They said it's slow for real.
I'm about to just ask Pops when we get our job that night.
Of course you can.
Yeah! Nah.
Yeah. Y'all actually won an award, the Boss Mag 2009 Ohio Hip Hop Award. Y'all won for that media outlet thing.
Man, I don't even know.
Like y'all won. He didn't even know he won it.
Nah.
What'd you say? Who was it?
You won the Boss Magazine 2009 Ohio Hip Hop Award. Congratulations.
That's legendary. Yeah.
Yo, what's good? It's your boy Peanut, aka Dash Resource. I got my man Stacking Smith.
What's going on, everybody, man? Happy Monday to everybody. I hope that you all are enjoying your Monday. It's Make It Happen Monday.
Hey.
Make some money Monday.
Hey.
And Make It Happen Monday.
Uh-huh.
I said that first. I actually
It's
said
so
that
dope you can
first.
say it twice, bro.
I said it. I don't. This was a test to see if you was even really listening to what I say, bro.
Word.
This is all these tests are going wrong for you, man.
Me?
Yeah, because
Wait.
I'm trying to see if you understand what I'm saying. This is Make It Happen Monday,
Yeah.
Make Some Money Monday, and Make It Happen Monday.
Yeah. You just said it twice.
Right.
Man.
You're supposed to be like, bro, you already said that.
So
But
you gotta
anyway.
take a point already by you messing up?
No. Well, you were supposed to be the editor, man. You got to edit these things. But no, never point out a mistake that I make. Exactly. That's
That's
a rule.
Look, give me my point now,
Hey,
Smith.
you got a point. All right, y'all, man. Welcome to the Legendary People Podcast. I'm Smith.
Yeah.
T-shirtkings247.com. Go for your mouth and Camera King Studio. We are broadcasting from Camera King Studio. So if you ever want some family pictures or something like that will last a lifetime, make sure you come and check us out. All right. As always, we like to ask you to go to our YouTube channel. If you're watching on Facebook, go to our YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, ring the bell notification so you can get alerted every time we drop new content, man. And throughout the course of the video, make sure that you like our post and make sure that you flood the comment section with comments and questions for the guest.
Legendary comments.
We interview all kind of great people on this show. You know, just everybody has the potential to be great. So if they're on here, they definitely fit that criteria. We do want to acknowledge our sponsors. Go to Shiekhs for breakfast. They have the best breakfast in the city. Agnes All Natural Grill. They are right downtown, cat-a-corner from the library downtown, and they have excellent food for lunch. If you're ever injured, call attorney Michael Wright at 937-222-7477. Make the right choice with attorney Michael Wright. TheShopArea.com. They're like the baby Amazon. TheShopArea.com. Delivery is always free from the store to your door in 4 business days. TheShopArea.com. And if you want to get lit a little bit, get you some Kiara Wine. You can get Kiara Wine from Antoine Cunningham on Facebook, or you can go to More for Less. That's Kiara Wine. Again, T-shirt Kings, Gold for Your Mouth, Camera Kings, and my bro has a very cool business where he teaches you how to get a big old bag from investing in stocks. And he does a show every Sunday. It's called Sell Stocks Not Dope on the Dash Resource channel on Facebook, on YouTube, excuse me.
Oh.
Yep, Facebook and
You was
YouTube,
right.
but the
Look,
Dash
you was
Resource channel on YouTube. We want to make sure that you also go and like and subscribe to the Dash Resource channel on YouTube. Come in, Go for Your Mouth, T-shirt Kings and Camera Kings, and we are going to get you all the way together. So without further ado, my brother Peanut Johnson, over to you, bro.
Bro, you bodied that, man. You feel me? Like, a little
Yes.
slip up in the first part of that, but, man, you really, like, nailed it, man.
Slip up!
Listen, what slip up, right? Now, I did a really, really cool show yesterday, Sunday. I actually did the research for you. BlackRock investment firm, I actually found out their exact portfolio. You literally see the same trades that these billion-dollar companies made within the past 30 days. I did a whole video on that, man. So please, if you guys want to find out where the big, follow the money, man. Follow the money, right? But this ain't about me. You feel me? We here because we celebrate legends. And a lot of times, you know, so people don't really accept the term legend because it's so weighted because people are still on their journey. But sometimes people have legendary stories that already, you know, we are attached to the person while they're going through it. This right here is one of those stories right now, man. So without further ado, we have Whitney L. Barkley.
Hey, what's up, y'all?
Nice
to meet you officially.
Nice to meet you too. So here on the Legendary People podcast, we like to celebrate our legends by finding out the origins. So without further ado, where'd you grow up?
I am from Columbus, Ohio.
Columbus.
Born and
Okay.
raised.
The CO, huh?
Yeah, the CO 614.
Okay. So what elementary school did you go to?
Oh, that's deep. I went to Cassidy Elementary School.
Cassidy. Okay.
Cassidy Elementary School, right around the corner from my house.
Okay. So speaking of which, so like what area did you grow up?
I'm from the north side of Columbus.
North
so
side.
I grew up in the same house my entire life. Mom still lives there. It's just
Yeah.
our
So
family
don't say the
house.
street now. People show down there to say hi to mom.
Oh, yeah.
Hi mama love. So like what was it like growing up there?
Growing up, I live in a neighborhood called Somerset in Columbus. It's the north side of Columbus. Growing up, it was a mixed neighborhood. Like, it was a neighborhood where, you know, we had a lot of older people, but then we had a lot of young people. So at one point in time, we had a really nice neighborhood, but then as time went on, the neighborhood just got a little crazy.
So like what do you mean by crazy? Like what are some of the things that you saw growing up that you perceived to be crazy?
Just seeing kids just get into certain stuff. Like, my mom raised us to be a certain way, so she always tried to keep us away from what other kids were doing in the street. So, you know, Somerset was really a place where people just, you know, they did what they wanted to do. They will wild out, just do different things. So for me, you know, I just kind of watch things from a distance because, you know, my parents always wanted me to be something different. So that was always my goal.
So you grew up with mom and dad in the house?
Yeah, I grew up with mom and dad until I was 8. Then they separated, but I've been close to both of my parents my whole life.
Any siblings?
Yes, I'm the youngest of 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like you was the baby.
Yeah, I'm
you
the
the
baby.
So like what was that like for you, like growing up? Like what was like the dynamic? Like were your brothers and sisters older, way older than you, or?
Oh yeah, they're way older. So like my oldest sister is 47. For me, I've always been solo dolo. Like my brothers and sisters kind of grew up together because for them they have like 2 pairs, so they kind of grew up. For me, it was just me. So by the time I was up and coming, everybody else was in high school, was starting their lives already. Okay.
So like what kind of student were you in in elementary school?
I was a student that excelled greatly.
Okay, so like give us an example of when you knew like you were, you know, kind of smarter than the kid, like you seen the kid like chewing on the pencil rather than using it.
I don't know. I think I realized that when I was in high school, like the work was like super easy. It gets so easy for me. And I was fortunate at the time, they had a program called Seniors to Sophomores. So I skipped my senior year of high school to go to college.
Wow.
So I ended up graduating as valedictorian, but I had a full year of college under my belt. So I think that was that aha moment, like, oh, wow, like, you know, I do need to do something different.
Right.
Like, I can actually do this.
Right. So, who are some of your early childhood friends?
Early childhood friends.
And Smith said you gotta do like the shout out like back in the day when you called the radio station, you gotta you gotta shout them out like that.
I want to give a shout out to my friend Kiara Wine
Hey!
out in North Carolina.
Yeah.
We've been riding since kindergarten,
Yeah.
literally.
Okay.
Literally some of my best friends since kindergarten.
Yeah.
Annie Caroma, best friend since the 6th grade. You
Yeah.
know, I have people, and that's the one thing that I love about connecting with people is building lifelong relationships.
Yes.
I'm one of those people where I still know people from kindergarten,
Me
and we're
too.
still tight.
Yeah. So, like, what's some of your early, like one of your fondest memories of, like you and your friends in your childhood?
Oh man, I would say
That memory right there. That one.
going to a party. I think that was the funnest memory of childhood. Because, I mean, like I said, my mom was strict. So the fact that I was able to go out and to do something was just...
What was that party like?
Oh, it was lit. It was a basement party. It was
What?
Yeah, we had parties. We used to have parties in the basement.
Yeah.
It used to be amazing.
Word. So,
Well, how old were you,
Yeah.
Whitney, when you went
Oh,
to the
I was
party?
like, when did we... It had to be 8th grade. It's like 13, 12,
Yeah,
13.
yeah.
what was the hottest person during that time so we can, like, put a stamp on, like, who was, like, the song, like, you know what I mean? Because, like, back in our era, well, like, my era, it was, like, Bow Wow and then was, like, them dudes to us, like.
It was.
Okay.
I would have to say Jaquan,
Oh.
Tipsy. That was a
Yeah.
big song. I remember that at the
Okay.
time. You know, it was like in that 05, 06,
Everybody
around that era.
get tipsy. Okay. All right, word. So, are there any things in your childhood that you saw that were pillars that you use later on in life that you can, like, look in hindsight to say, oh, that person influenced me to be who I am today?
Yeah, I think I would have to say my dad. My dad is my hero.
Mm-hmm.
My dad is the youngest of 10 kids from a little small city in Alabama called Uniontown.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, they literally came from nothing. You know, they moved here in the 60s. He moved here when he was 12 years old. They put him in the 1st grade.
Mm-hmm.
My dad went to the 8th grade, never made it past the 8th grade. But, you know, he was someone who was self-made. He started a business when I was 8 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually used to come to Dayton. Dayton was one of the first places that gave him an opportunity to have a contract. So that's why I always feel so tied to this community.
Wow.
Because when I see Dayton, I see opportunity because I knew what that meant for him. And, you know, for him not to have any degrees, not to do anything that he's done, for him to reach the level of success that he's reached has always been an inspiration for me.
That is so dope, and I mean, I always draw parallels to, for instance, so, like, I like to see people that find greatness and something that people don't find great. Like, I remember Smed when we had our Lil Wayne versus Jay-Z debate,
Right.
And then you had somebody call in to say, "Oh, this, that, and the third is happening in this big city, and we are the." You know what I'm saying? Like, we were the, you know what I'm saying, like the Miss Greaves, or our opinion didn't matter. And
Right.
then you said to him, like, bro, just because you think that don't mean it's true. To find power in Dayton, what was it like for you to, like, actually find greatness in something that other people wouldn't find great in it?
Wow. I mean, I think for me, it's just, again, looking at those opportunities. Like, for us, and knowing where my dad has come from, like, you know, being here has always been a place for opportunity. And then later on, a lot of people don't know this, I used to be a park ranger. So I was a park ranger for the National Park Service. I went to Wilberforce University,
Yeah.
got a job through the Park Service when I was at the school. And I remember sitting there reading books about Dayton, like reading about Paul Laurence Dunbar, the Wright brothers. And I'm like, Dayton is like a dope city. At the turn of the century, Dayton had the most inventions per capita for anybody.
Yeah.
So I'm like, people sleep on Dayton, but this is truly the gem city. So
Yes.
that is something that has always stuck with me. And, you know, that's one of the reasons that I came back. Because, like, I know that innovation still exists here. I know that there's some really great people with really great ideas. And so I just want to be there to help them.
Well, we're going to need your help with me and Smed's time machine that we're building. You know what I'm saying? We're in the middle of building a time machine.
Like, legit.
So we can go back in time, so we can go back to the story, because you done ran through being a park ranger, college, Wilberforce. We
Yeah.
got to go back to middle school at least. So
Okay.
Let me ask you something, Whitney. So when
we really are building a time machine, Smith. Tell the truth.
we are, for sure. I need that. But what I was gonna ask you was, it seems like you saying that you were an excellent student in school.
Yes.
Did you have any particular thing that drove you to take school so serious and be great at it?
That's a great question.
I remember when I was in middle school, we had a teacher named Miss Hawkins, and she would give us like all this extra work. Like we would be so mad at her, and she would always be like, well, when you guys get to college, and like at that time I had never heard of college. I didn't really know what it was. I'm like, what the heck is college? What are we doing? But like when I really started to learn about it, I'm like, yeah, I think I could do that. And then when I started to learn more about college and, you know, the percentages of people who look like me, who graduated from college, went and actually completed it, it was something that was a motivator for me. I mean, you know, I've been through school. I've been through college twice. I plan to go back to college again. I want to go to get a JD. I want to go to law school. So, you know, it's a lifelong learning process for me. I'm just one of those people where I'm always curious. And institutions of learning has really been something that helps bring out that curiosity. Because I think when you're curious, that helps breed innovation.
That's good. So, I mean, like, did that answer everything?
Yeah.
So, what pitfalls did you see happen, like, with some of your friends during this time that you saw were hindrance to them, that you got a chance to, like, kind of cherry pick from to not make those same type of mistakes?
I think it's a combination of factors. I mean, I think a lot of people get sidetracked because they really don't have the right support around them. Honestly, you know, I think everybody starts with a dream and with a vision, but if you don't have the right support, those things can't really manifest. Like, you have to be a really strong-willed person to really get to the things that you want to do if you don't have that support. I think another thing is just distractions, you know, just allowing life to kind of take over in a sense. So I think that's why a lot of people don't get to where they need to go. And then also just not realizing that sometimes we're our biggest problem, right? You know, like we try to blame things externally, but really it's just us and our mindset. So really just making sure that you're understanding how you're thinking, and how your thinking is either progressing where you're going or is hindering where you're going.
So, also, I mean, like, you dealt with, like, bullying at, you know what I'm saying, like, a certain part of your life. Did this start in elementary school or kind of middle school?
Yeah, elementary school.
So, like, what were things that, like, they bullied you about?
Man, people just, I mean, they bully me for a lot, you know, for wearing glasses, being skinny. Some people say, like, I talk too proper, you know, like, it was things that, you know, that have followed me, like, you know, even into adulthood, things that people try to say. But those are just some of the things that you have to sit back and realize that a lot of times when people are bullying, they're really projecting some of their own insecurities on you. So that was one of the lessons that I had to learn.
So, like, during middle school, I mean, like, how were your friends when it came to that? Were they kind of like, don't say anything, or were they like we gonna F her up for you kind of thing?
Oh, the latter. definitely the second part. You know, I have some real ride or die friends. You know, I have people who just, you know, I think they see my potential. They saw the greatness in me before I could see it in myself. So, you know, people always try to protect me by any means necessary. So, you know, I'm grateful to always have those kind of people in my life.
So, were there any extracurricular activities that you were into, like, during, like, middle school?
Yeah, I played the violin. I played the oboe. I took
can see
acting
you killing
class.
the violin.
What I do? I did acting. I played volleyball. That's when I was first introduced to volleyball. I tried track a little bit. I tried a little bit of everything.
Okay. How was your parents in support of, like, the sports and things of that nature? Were they kind of, like...
I think they were very supportive. My mom was definitely supportive of all the musical stuff. My dad was like, yeah, do the sports, because he knew that it would help build, like, the teamwork and the stuff that you don't think about as a kid, but he kind of saw that forward vision in me, you know, being a part of teams and just doing something different.
Right. So, like, what's the name of middle school? We didn't talk about middle school this whole time. Like, what middle school did you go to?
So we're going to the timeline. It's called Clinton Middle School. It's not in Columbus anymore. They actually shut it down a couple years ago, but that's where I went.
So, was that far from your house also? I mean, was that close to your house? Or?
So, I had to take the bus to middle school. Elementary school, I could walk. Middle school, I definitely had to take the bus.
Okay. So, where'd you go for high school?
Mifflin High School.
Mifflin?
Mifflin Punchers. Shout out to Mifflin.
Okay.
I love my high school. See,
what you love?
I
Okay.
love high school.
What?
High school was an amazing experience. Again, it's just about having that support. Like, I had 2 amazing principals. I had teachers and just my peers in general. Like, we all were literally like family. Like, I still talk to people from high school to this day.
Right.
So I love high school. That's an experience that I wouldn't trade. Middle school can go somewhere, but high school was good.
Wow. Well, I mean, like, a lot of people do not share that same sentiment. Like, Smith with the multiple high schools. I mean, what a loser. And then I'm just let's say, like, oh, really? Nah, but seriously. So, like, what were some of the things, like, you find, like, the most dearest about high school?
The fact that people cared. I remember we had a teacher. She had us make a scrapbook. And we were like, this is English class. Why are we making scrapbooks?
Right.
But we had to make scrapbooks about our lives. And I enjoyed that because it just allows you, kind of like you said, like it's a time machine. You get to look back and reflect on how you thought and what you were thinking at the time. And I just thought that was one of the most meaningful things that we ever could do, honestly.
Right. So like during this time, are you starting to find interest in blogging yet, or is it not really what you do yet? Are you writing?
I had
in
an interest in media. I definitely started to have an interest in media. At Ohio State, they used to do these media boot camps where the students can go and learn how to be a journalist for a day. So I did that, and that's what really started to really like help me get interested in the media profession.
So like an interest started, but you didn't really like start to pursue it yet. It's just more or less like just going and venturing into it.
Yeah, like I knew eventually I wanted to do something that either had something to do with talking or writing. So I just couldn't figure out what it was yet.
Were there anybody who you looked up to like during that time that was in that field?
Anybody that I looked up to at the time, yeah, I would say Angela Pace. She was a veteran at Channel 10 News in Columbus. You know, she was on TV for a long time. Really dope, very polished. Like I always wanted to be like her because she was so polished.
So like you graduated early to go to college. What was that like for like you and your family?
It was a transition. So for me, it was a culture shock. I mean, I went to, you know, a predominantly black school my entire life, and then all of a sudden I go to this Catholic school. It's a school called Ohio Dominican University, and it was just totally different, you know, different structure. You know, in college you have to be held accountable a little bit more. So, you know, it was different, you know, for a 17-year-old to kind of go into this environment prematurely.
Well, everybody's in there like grown.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah. So like, what kind of things did you run into like when you were trying to like, I mean, because there still had to be a part where you was like, well, I'm here, I want to indulge in some of the, you know, like the particulars of partying. What was that like for, you know, being 17 around people that are probably in their 20s?
Oh, I thought I was grown. I thought, you know, like, I was in there. I thought I was grown. You know, I thought I would have a great time. It was interesting because it really showed me how young still I really was and how a lot of maturing that I still needed to do, especially, you know, as you talk to people, listen to conversations, and I'm just like, man, like this is what I have to go through like next year, like when I have to keep going to college. So, you know, I think, you know, that was an eye-opener for me. You know, I definitely would go out and do stuff, but, you know, certain stuff I was limited because I wasn't quite old enough to get into places.
Right. So, you know, like coming from your area in Columbus to there, that's already achievement within itself, correct?
For sure.
But at this point, like, are you feeling like, you know, like you're on to something great, or do you just feel like I still got work to do?
I mean, I feel like I was just scratching the surface, honestly. You know, my biggest thing was, all right, I'm going to do this year. But then I had the problem of, okay, where am I going to go next? Like, do I stay at ODU or do I go somewhere else?
What was your major at that point in time?
When I first started, it was in English. But then...
but you love media. Why would
you
pick English?
Well, because I always heard that if you have a degree in English, you can do anything with it. But then I met someone, he was my mentor. His name is Larry Carey. And he's like, girl, don't do English. Like, you need to go into media, communications. That's where it's at. That's where it's at. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to try this communications thing. And then I just stuck with it.
Word. So did you graduate from there?
No. So I finished my first year at ODU. I applied to every school in Ohio. Got in every single last school except for Case Western. I don't know why I didn't get into Case Western. Still, like, troubles me to this day.
Case Western, man. Y'all got to do better y'all screening process because y'all lost that on the legend, y'all. Y'all lost that on the legend. Do better.
But no, I had decided to go to Wilberforce. Wilberforce wasn't even a choice for me, honestly. Like, I had tried all these other schools, but I just wanted to change. I'm like, I got to get out of Columbus. Like, I have to do something different. I wanted to go to a HBCU. I really wanted to go to Clark Atlanta, but my mom was like, no, it's too far away. It's too much money. And I'm like, okay, where are there any HBCUs in Ohio? So it was Central State and Wilberforce. We went to Wilberforce. I visited, and I just gave them the money for the deposit the same day.
So like, was it some racial undertone at your last school that you had issues with at Columbus Dominican?
Ohio Dominican?
Yeah,
no,
Ohio Dominican.
I mean, Ohio Dominican was really cool. It just wasn't for me. Like, you know, you can go into certain environments and yeah, you can thrive, but I felt like I could thrive there, but I feel like there was somewhere where it was going to be better for me.
Yeah.
And a HBCU was one of the best experiences because, you know, I always tell people, like, when you go to a HBCU, like, that's one of the only times in your life where you're not the other, right?
Wow.
You know, you get to be yourself. You know, you learn that all black people are not ubiquitous. We're not all the same.
Yes.
You know, there's different people go skateboard and they eat sushi. You know, you're not just in that limited scope of the people that you've seen in Columbus, Ohio.
Let me ask you something.
That is hard.
Look, so look,
hard.
for somebody that I'm putting you on the level of a scholar, right?
Yes,
you know,
absolutely.
you did some nice academic things and valedictorian,
Yes.
graduating early. So that goes to show that, you know, you about it when it comes to being in school and getting good grades and stuff. But for somebody that's in that same situation as you in, they know that they're smart, they know that they got it in them, but for some reason something doesn't feel right in this situation, and they might be feeling like they're losing their mojo. They may have got into they may be in college now, and damn, now this is overwhelming. Like, I thought that I was good enough, but now that I'm in this situation, maybe not. For somebody that's in that situation like you, where you felt like there was something more that you could accomplish, what type of things were you going through to make you feel like there could be something better for you?
Just thinking about your motivations, like, why am I doing this in particular? That was something that was important for me. You know, I think I come from this generation where a lot of people went to college because that's what the school pushed, that's what their parents pushed.
Yes.
And, you know, we have all these people who either, you know, they didn't complete their degree, got a whole bunch of student debt, or they completed their degrees and they're not even doing anything in the field that they went to school for.
Yeah.
Right.
So, you know, I think understanding what is my intrinsic motivation, you know, what is it, why am I doing this for me? You know, I think that's the first thing. I think the second thing, you know, for someone who may feel like they're kind of losing their mojo, you know, just kind of taking a step back for a little bit. I think that's something that's most important too. Like, I feel like sometimes we always got to feel like we got to go, especially when you're in college. You feel like you got to be a part and do everything. But, you know, I think mental health is important, and taking a step back to really understand, you know, is this thing really for me, and to see if there's other avenues. Because the one thing that I think is most important is that I don't think our paths in life are linear. Like, I don't
Yes.
think there's a straight path to anything.
Yes.
I think that, honestly, with every life experience or anything that we're exposed to, we have to be open to receive what life is giving us. And even though you may have started on a certain path, it's not wrong for you to go in a different direction. And I think we've been conditioned to think that it's wrong for us to go in different directions. It's totally okay if life is taking you in another way, but you have to be open to receive that, because if you're not open to receiving it, you're blocking your blessing, and you're forcing yourself down a path. Like, I always believe in being organic. Like, anything that we do in this life should be effortless, but we have to really just open ourselves to get those things.
Absolutely.
There's something that I was listening to the other day, and it's open to everything but attached to nothing.
There you go.
Period.
There you go.
I believe in that.
For sure.
And it's crazy because like my last year's New Year's resolution was to not fight the universe, and it led me down this beautiful path that I've been on. And life is really just like hit the easy button. Like, honestly, like so. Was that kind of like the feeling of like you during your college? Because to me, like, being out of school, you know, like you're doing well after school, taking that leap of faith to say, well, I'd rather be somewhere more comfortable rather than somewhere I'm already excelling at. I mean, did you bounce the idea with your parents, or was it just something like, this is my choice to do it and I don't care how people feel? What was your thought process?
I'm really an independent person. Like, I don't really ask for permission to do a lot of stuff. I find that anytime that I ask for permission, it's typically when I fail, because you're clouded by judgment of other people. I do think it's good to consult with other people to figure out certain things, but you have to discern who you consult with, because everyone can't always give you advice, right?
Yes.
If people haven't walked in your shoes or done specific things, not to say that they're not qualified to give you that advice, but, you know, unfortunately, you know, it might just kind of cloud your judgment. So I've always been that type to just kind of just go for it. You know, whatever it is that I wanted to do, I did it. Like, you know, I mentioned that I was a park ranger. I was also also a DJ for a wedding. I've also sold gutters. Like, I've done so many random things in life. But at the end of the day, like, I don't feel like they were not by design. Like, everything that I've literally done, I've learned something.
Yes.
Because I feel like you can never lose if you learn.
Yes.
So that's just my mentality. So with every experience that I have, I'm always trying to figure out, okay, what can I take from this? How can this make me better for my next? I don't even care what my next is, as long as I know that I'm using everything that I have now to equip me for that next moment.
Absolutely. So like, to me, for instance, so like people be saying that, you know, they tell everybody all their business, or they go to Facebook with all their business. I feel that I have the best judgment over my situation. I'm the only judge, the prosecutor, the only reliable witness of what's going on with, like, my life. Because in order for someone else to know, I would have to give you the whole backstory, which I haven't told anybody. I know it, so why am I just going to give it to someone else? So that is an amazing point, and you validate my point when I tell people. I don't tell people my business.
Yeah, I mean, you're the expert of your own life. At the end of the day, you're going to figure it out. You know, everyone's going to have their opinion of what you should or shouldn't do. But at the end of the day, you have to do what's going to allow you to sleep at night.
So that transition to go to the HBCU of your picking, which it wasn't top on your list, but you know what I'm saying, like, you went there. What was that first year like for you? At Wilberforce, right?
Shout out to Wilberforce.
Shout out to Wilberforce University.
Hey.
I love my alma mater. I love Wilberforce. I don't think I would be half of the person that I am today without Wilberforce University. So I do want to say that. But
Bill Cosby.
what? Okay.
Shout out to Bill Cosby, man.
Hey, what? Hey.
Oh my God.
I had to say it.
They're interdependent.
You had to go there.
But Bill Cosby was released.
He was.
What do you mean?
I didn't say he was convicted. I was calling him Bill Cosby.
Oh, you said Bill Cosby. Damn.
Oh, you didn't catch that? Okay. I heard it. It was loud and clear.
Wow.
So like, what was it like running them streets that Bill built? You know what I mean? Like, what was it like?
You mean running them cornfields? Wilberforce, it was great. It was definitely humbling, you know, to come from Columbus. Not to say that Columbus is just this giant metropolis, but
Right.
coming from Columbus to literally going in the middle of cornfields with 2 colleges, a post office, and a speedway, like, that was different. You know,
Yeah.
that was some life-changing experience. But I would say that first year, I mean, it just exposed me to a lot. Like, you learn about Greek culture, you know, you learn about the history of it, and I think that's one of the things that attracted me to it. Because like we talk about legendary, Wilberforce is legendary. It's the first
Absolutely.
private HBCU in the nation. You
That's
know,
hard.
it, you know, literally has standed through against all odds. You know, like, that's one of the things that I like about it. It was a school that was resilient. It was resilient just through its history, and I felt like at that time, resiliency was something that was very important for me. So that
You
first
learned
year,
about Greek culture?
Yeah, like Greek, like, you know, like AKAs, Kappa, Sigma,
Oh,
you know,
okay.
like Greek
Okay.
life.
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
something that was different for me. I wasn't really exposed to that too much when I lived in Columbus, but coming down here, like, you learn about all those things, and, you know, just meeting different types of people. Like, we met people from California, Detroit, like, places I had never been at that point in time. So that was very eye-opening for me to meet people and to be in a community that felt like family. Like, even if, like, the thing that I love about Wilberforce, even if you never went to school with that person, they could be from another year that graduated. If you say you from Wilberforce, you already feel that instant connection to family.
Yeah.
It's love.
Yeah. So, like, what is one of your fondest memories? Like, the very first one that popped your head of when you was at Wilberforce?
The fondest memories of Wilberforce.
Oh, maybe not that one. You get. I know what that giggle means.
Dang,
we
Whit.
know what that giggle. Wait.
Dang,
No.
Whitney.
Swipe right. Swipe right.
Hey,
Oh, man. Okay.
what are you
Okay, let me
doing?
think about a good memory.
Yeah.
A fond memory. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, I had a lot of great memories.
Yeah.
I would have to say, so I lived in a suite. We lived in Henderson Hall.
And you stay in the suite? Okay.
Yeah, we stayed in Henderson Hall. It was the honors dorm at the time.
Slow.
But yeah, I stayed with my roommate, my suite mates. My suite mates are from Michigan. My roommate was from Cleveland. And like, we would have a ball. Like,
Wait, that's the coolest thing I heard somebody call somebody. Not their roommate, their suite mate.
oh yeah,
That's
that was my
hard.
suite mate. They was my suite mates. But
Yeah.
yeah,
T-shirts made.
we used to have don't laugh at me, but we would rap in the room.
You busted it down?
I used to rap.
Let me hear something.
Nah.
You-
Nah. I might. It just depends. I haven't brought that side out of me in a long time.
Okay.
But yeah, we used to rap in our rooms. We had to make our own fun. Like when you're not, around stuff and nothing's in proximity, like we would just have fun for real.
Right.
Like we would literally just do everything together. And that was really a great sense of like family because when I first got there, I would run to Columbus every weekend because I'm like, I'm not staying here, like I'm going to Columbus.
Yeah, ain't nothing going on.
But as we started to get to know each other, like we really started to form like lifelong friendships.
Does Central State and Wilberforce mingle a lot?
I personally did not mingle a lot at Central State, but there was a lot of instances where they were. I mean, there was a time where Central State students stayed on our campus. There were times that we stayed on their campus for dorms.
Right.
They had some programs together. Sometimes, Central State students would take classes at our school. So it just really depended. It was always kind of that like fake rivalry, but it really was a lot of love between Central and Wilberforce, I would say.
Yeah, my brother graduated from Wilberforce too.
Oh, really? What year?
He graduated from UD and Wilberforce, an electrical engineer. I think he probably graduated in maybe 94, 95,
okay,
around in there.
Okay.
So,
He majored.
who was y'all real rivals? Like, have y'all ever got y'all mascot stolen?
No.
Did y'all ever do any of that?
No, we didn't do any of that. I mean, and the thing is about going to an HBCU in the Midwest, I think the Wilberforce and Central experience is probably going to be a lot different than like the Clark Atlanta or Spelman or Howard
that's
experience.
so far apart.
Yeah.
It's going to be some type of. But when you got mixed classes together, it's kind of like y'all brother and sister school.
Yeah, I mean, and essentially that's what it was. I mean, Central was. I mean, a lot of people don't know that, but Central was a part of Wilberforce at one point in time. They just wanted to become a public institution, so that's why the two split. But they were one school at once.
So what makes Wilberforce? So Wilberforce is a private institution?
Yes, it is privately owned by the AME Church.
Okay. Okay.
So, I mean, it can't be all, champagne and flowers. What's a terrible experience that you've seen at Wilberforce?
A terrible experience that I saw.
Or one that you've heard.
Or one that I've heard. I would say, back in the day, somehow I got on student government. I don't know how that happened.
Legends just seem to find a seat somewhere. I don't know.
No, because I wasn't elected or anything. They're like, we want to appoint you to student government. I'm like, oh, I got all this other stuff, but
That's
I'll do
major.
it.
That's major.
So I was the vice president of student government, and we had a protest at the school. We organized probably one of the largest protests. I think we had about 60% of the student body participate in that protest because it was for us to stand up for what we believed in as students. We wanted more from the administration, and I wouldn't say that was a terrible time, but that was an eye-opening time.
What were some of the conditions that y'all found that was reprehensible that y'all guys wanted to revolt together in order to change it?
It was a number of different things, just upgrading the facilities, changing the dorms. There was just a number of grievances that students had at the time, and it was hard, right? Because you want to be the student leader, you don't want to rock the boat, but at the same time, if people are electing you or putting you in position to do things, you have to be in that position to rock the boat. So that was something that that was one of the things that was very eye-opening to me. It was definitely a great experience because, after we graduated, a lot of those things came into fruition. The school definitely went into a different direction, and it was like, wow, they really listened to the students. So I think that was
They met some of your demands.
They did. They met some of those demands. I think all those things were a work in progress, but ultimately...
Did the protest end with them agreeing to meet the demands?
No, it didn't end. We actually had two.
Yeah.
We had two protests. But after those protests, I would probably say about 6 to 8 months afterwards, the leadership changed. New leadership came in, and I think they saw some of the things. Like we had documents and everything. Like it was very professionally ran protest.
Yeah. Right.
So I think they were able to see some of the things that students were wanting. Because at the end of the day, students, they're paying customers, right? So if we're paying for things, we should be able to get the things that we want. So again, I think it was very eye-opening, but it also showed me to always use your voice. That was something that I learned. Like I remember calling one of my professors, like, do I call the news? What should I do? And she's like, Miss White, that was my maiden name at the time. Miss White, just use your voice. Like, don't be scared to use your voice. So now, you know, if I see any type of thing that's wrong or whatever, regardless of how it feels or what those consequences may look like, I know I have to say something.
So like being in student government is a very, you know, like prestigious honor also, but it also has like who was somebody or what was the story where somebody was like being petty as hell over something like they wanted you to fix? Like, it has to be like that. There's always gonna be somebody out there telling you, man, my doorknob creak at night, kind of thing.
Well, I think with those particular situations, I mean, of course, you know, you get irritated. It annoys you. But, you know, I think...
I can't picture that.
No, I mean, I have a calm demeanor, but I get irritated sometimes. But I think with those types of things, just our approach was, you know, we really wanted people to use the system. Like, you know, if I'm just walking to class, don't come to me and just be like, yeah, my door is messed up or this. Like, no, you come to a student body meeting and express your interest. Like, you know, our goal was to get people to be a part of the process. Because in the past, people didn't take student government seriously. So I think we were kind of some of the change agents to make people take it a little bit more seriously. And it just held us accountable because people are like, all right, we coming to you with these problems. What you going to do about it? So it made us make sure that we were on our stuff, like make sure that we were on our game.
Okay. So, like during this time, is your major still communication?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. So you finally graduate.
Yes, I did.
So, like, what was that like for you and your family?
Graduation, it was a huge deal. I gave my degree to my dad. I gave both my degrees to my dad so he could hang them up and do his thing. It was a big deal. I think in my immediate family, I'm the first to graduate with a 4-year degree, then with a master's degree. So everyone was extremely proud. It was a great opportunity. It was good for me because at graduation, I had 2 choices. So I was going to go to a program called Teach for America and become a 6th grade math teacher. Don't know why. But then I had the opportunity to move to Cincinnati to work for television. And that's the direction I ultimately chose. So I worked as a digital content producer for Fox 19 in Cincinnati.
And what was that like to finally, because, I mean, that is a big decision to have because, I mean, eventually, you probably still teach too, but what ultimately, like, to have a dream to being in media, graduating and then graduating early from high school and then transitioning into college, doing well there, transfer to another college and do exactly your way. And then now you have the opportunity to choose between, okay, go be a teacher and then, okay, go pursue my dream. What was that like for you?
I mean, well, Teach for America, that was something that I did because I actually met someone who told me I wasn't going to be able to do it. They said, oh, they don't really accept African Americans into that program. So, you know, good luck, basically. And I'm like, okay, bet. So I went through the process. Was this a black person
that told you that?
Oh, yeah, it was.
Of course.
It was. So, you know, I'm like, all right, I'm going to do it. So I went through the process. They have a very rigorous interview process. You have to make lesson plans, go through panel interviews, all this other stuff. And, you know, they gave me the green light to be a part of it. So I more so did that just to prove that I could do it because someone told me that I couldn't. But when Fox called me, I'm like, yeah, I'm media. Like, this is what I've been planning for. Like, I have to do this, right? Because I had applied for jobs in the Dayton market, Columbus, Cleveland. But Cincinnati was the first one that gave me a chance. So that's where I went.
Wow. So, like, what was that experience like for you?
Man, the news is, like, crazy. Like, first of all, I had to go to work at 4 o'clock in the morning. And when you go to work, you wake up to 300 plus emails of people trying to get on television. So as a digital content producer, you have to look through the different stories. If you find something interesting, you send it to the producer so they can actually produce the stories. Then on the digital side, you have to produce those stories as well. So we were turning out, I don't know, like, 10, 15 articles a day, just writing about different news stories. And then part of my job was actually going out into the field with reporters. So I would go and do the social media piece of it because we had at the time, it was like 2013. So we had the largest Facebook page out of all the news stations. So ours was the most active. And that's really where I learned how to do social media, just in that space. And I loved it. I hated the hours, but I loved the work.
Wow. So, during this time, you also start your journey of doing your blogs, right?
Yep. So around this time, I started blogging. I had left the news after Then I started to work in the nonprofit world. And so the last job that I had, I was an associate director for a company. So that's really when I started to blog. So I started blogging about 2014. That sounds right. So blogging in 2014, and that was crazy because like people would read my blog in different places. I'm like, people read this in Africa? Like people are actually like looking at this stuff. And then it just started leading to other opportunities. Like people would invite me, like I've been to Chicago, Miami, like just because they're like, we want your blog to cover our event. And so like I would go and do it. A lot of times they pay for it. Sometimes I pay for it out of pocket because I wanted to make sure that I had those experiences.
So, just to give the viewers some of what she blogged about, it was about self-doubt, low self-esteem, and
yeah, it was really about building confidence. So, you know, really taking that and talking about, you know, how can you be confident? Like our tagline was "Be confident, be free." So, really embellishing those categories and those topics that helped you become a more confident you.
Are these things that you kind of, you know, harken back to your early childhood being bullied?
Yeah, some of it was from me being bullied, but then like I started talking to other people because it was really geared towards women. So like I started talking to other women, and you know everyone's having like similar experiences. I'm hearing the same stories over and over, and I'm like, well, we got to put this into content. So like with the blog, like I wrote, but I had other contributors who were writing as well. So it was really a way for people to share their voice and to start building their platform via mine. So that was something I was really proud of.
So some of the publications that you've been featured in, Black Tech Weekend, Brand Chicago, HerAgenda.com, Quirktastic, Mashable, Huffington Post, which is a real big one, Innovative Magazine, Empire Life Magazine. Which one would you say was like your crown moment when you were blogging?
Ooh, when I was blogging, I would probably have to say Huffington Post. Her Agenda was a big one too, because that was like, they weren't necessarily a competitor, but there was someone in the space that I aspired to be like. So that was something that was really big for me then.
Right. So out of those, I mean, like, what was the process of it reaching those posts? Was it just like you would post on your blog and then they would?
Yeah, all of those people reached out to me. So those were all things that, you know, people saw something that I was posting or someone had recommended the blog and then they wanted to do something on it.
And what's your take on colorism? Because you spoke on this in multiple blogs, but could you give us a general idea?
You know, I think colorism is kind of an outdated mindset. Unfortunately, I think we see it a lot in the Black community. I think all colors are beautiful, and I think we have to embrace that. There's nothing, you know, if people look at colorism, it's just all about preference if you like certain things. But I just want people to understand that, you know, one shade is not better than the other.
Right.
Like, we're all people at the end of the day, and I think that people have to remember that. And I think that's just the biggest thing that I want people to know. So
is there a difference between preference and colorism? Because, like, for instance, like, you'll have one person say, feel me, you know what I'm saying? It'll be a queen saying, you know, I want a man that's above 6 foot tall. He has to have dreads. He has to have a couple felonies on his record. You know what I mean? But when a brother says, I prefer this type of woman, he's condemned. When a woman can have preferences, but a man can't.
Well, I think it depends on who you're talking to. I don't think there's anything wrong with having preferences. I think when things get a little murky and when, you know, people draw the line is when they try to say, well, one is better than the other.
Yes.
When you're trying to compare. It's okay. Like, you know, I can like apples, but I'm not going to say that apples are better than oranges. That's just my preference.
Oranges are better than apples, by the way.
That's okay. You're allowed to have an opinion.
Great answer, Smith. So you want to chime in a little bit on the colorism?
Yeah, colorism.
Are you familiar with the term?
Well, I mean, from what I'm hearing is saying that one skin tone is better than the next.
It could be two black girls, but one is a different shade, and they'll value the lighter one over the dark one. Is what I.
What are we talking about? Like, how are they better? How are they better according to what?
I don't believe in colorism,
just
but
better.
You gotta speak to what.
Well, I'm just saying better at what is the question.
I mean, that is truly the question. I mean, but that's how people are pitted against one another. You know, they'll say, oh, well, this person is light-skinned, so light-skinned are better women.
They go back to
better
slavery
men.
in a certain
It does.
respect.
It's a way to separate people.
House nigga compared to field nigga.
Right. I guess what I'm just I guess what I'm just trying to round out is saying, like, what are they better at? Like, they're better than them at what? They're better person. They're nicer. They're cleaner. They're what do? They can be dominated easier by a man in a relationship. So I think that all of this stuff is silliness. You can't. When you start listening to people's dumb shit, then you actually start validating the stupid things that they're saying. And it's okay to stand up for yourself at a certain point, but a lot of times, man, just giving people that energy of defense or validating what they say by you becoming angry about what they say, a lot of the times I feel like it's really a waste of your time, man, and a waste of the things that you could be doing. Like white people calling black people monkeys and shit like that. Like, excuse me, but my son went to this haunted house way out in the sticks somewhere. There's only black people there. He said a little 14-year-old said monkey, and he said he got mad at it, because we know all of these slavery names that stuff that used to happen. And so he got like so defensive about it where he felt like he wanted to even fight about it. And so, I'm like, I get where you coming from, because there's a certain limit that people can keep calling me stuff too without me getting defensive. But in a certain way, we do give people power by allowing them to control what you do by what they say. So, we just got to be careful, man, and mindful to just stay focused on what it is that we can control. And a lot of the things that people say to us or their opinions about things is always an interesting perspective, and it's nothing more than that. Like, we don't even got to get like mad about it. Like, saying, I'm not going to let them control me, but I am a little mad about what they said. I still think that we are giving somebody a piece of our life that they don't deserve. When you mad at somebody, let's say your boyfriend do something to you or something, and he gone off playing basketball or something, but you sitting at home mad, and he's not even aware that you're mad. Like, it's the anger is only affecting you at that point. So you hit on this topic a little bit earlier, man. It's like literally having control over your mind. Like, once we get to that level where we are, man, so in control of what we think and what we give our energy to and where our focus goes, then we really will be handling our business, man, to the best of our ability. I'm trying to get to that point where, like energy, colorism, racism, any of these other things that people promote that's supposed to be my downfall is nothing more than a lie. It can't stop me, man.
To me,
even though these things may exist.
Like, energy is one of our most valuable resources that we give away freely all the time. Our attention is another thing we give away freely.
Right.
And people pay to get our attention. That's what ads are for. When you go down your Facebook wall, you scroll down, every 4-1 is going to be a sponsored ad.
Right.
And you understand these people are spending millions of dollars to get your attention. So why do you give it freely to, people that are undeserving, which is a good segue because you actually spoke about toxic relationships.
Yes.
So is it from past experiences?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, everything went all nice and cute in your interview. Let's talk about some toxic relationship. So what are some of the toxic relationship things that you've been a witness to and an observer? You ain't gotta implement yourself. I mean, maybe you can slash a tire every now and then.
No, I don't do things like
so
that. Toxicity is definitely there. And I think we have to learn things about ourselves, right? We can either be the victim, we can either be the victor, or we can also be the villain too.
Yes.
And I think when you look at toxic situations, you have to look at what role you play. Not necessarily like slashing somebody's tire or anything, but you have to take a deep look at yourself to recognize, why am I allowing certain behaviors to happen? What is the root of this? Why is this really happening right now? And then once you understand that, like, what are you going to do about it? For me, I was in a relationship for 10 years. I was married for 6 of those years. That was something that I did all through my 20s. If you would have asked me, like, right when I got a divorce, I would be like, oh, yeah, it was a toxic situation, blah, blah, blah. But when I look back, you know, when you get into a relationship in your 20s, you have two people who are learning themselves at the same time. And when you have two people who are trying to understand who they are and learn themselves and then get together and try to learn how to be together, there's going to be some toxicity that happens in that process. So, you know, for me, I think the most important thing when I look at toxic relationships or, you know, relationships that have toxic elements to it is to understand, you know, why is this particular thing happening? What is that root cause of it? And then how do I grow from this? You know, is this something that we can grow from, or is it something that I need to walk away from? And I think a lot of times we stay in situations that we should have walked away from a long time ago.
Right. Do you think the acceptance of toxic relationship, is that a learned behavior from, I mean, because like you had mom and dad at home, but then ultimately still, you know, ended up in a toxic like relationship. Do you think that's like learned behavior, or something like you kind of just, I am who I am, that is who I'm with, and we have a toxic situation? You feel like this is something
I feel like I think it's a little bit of both. I definitely think it can be a learned behavior. Like if you see people who accept a certain amount of things, like, you know, you're going to believe that that's okay, right? You know, I kind of watched my mom and my dad grow up. You know, I said they got separated when I was 8. Like my mom was like the no nonsense type. Like my dad came at her with something crazy, it was like no, like she shut it down. You know, I've had some of those personality traits as well. But, you know, in the same sense, you know, I've seen relationships where, you know, people would have a parent that talks to them crazy, but then, you know, they get with someone who acts just like that parent, and because it's familiar to them, they stay in those situations. And I think that's what really happens a lot, is that we get so familiar and comfortable with, really is, to me, it's emotional abuse. Honestly, you get comfortable with that and you think that it's okay and you normalize it, when really it's something that you should be getting away from.
Great. That's a great point. You also spoke in your blogs about abortion. Is something you personally been through also?
Yes, I did.
Was it during the time you was married or before?
No. So that's actually one of the reasons why I went to Wilberforce. So my senior year of high school, I was 18, was pregnant, and it was like, do I go to my senior prom or do I get an abortion?
Wow.
And, you know, I chose the latter. And that was one of the reasons I'm like, I got to get out of Columbus. I need to do something different. I need to change my life. And that's why Wilberforce was something that was true to me, because I grew up, my mom, so it's weird, like my mom's a Jehovah's Witness, but I never like subscribed to what she was doing growing up. So like I always believed in God, but I never had a close like relationship. But then when I went to Wilberforce, I met all these people, you know, who were spiritual. You know, they, you know, made God, that was something that was so important. So like that's really where I cultivated kind of like my spiritual side. So you know, that's one of the reasons why the school was very near and dear to me. But yeah, I mean, abortion it's a tough topic. It's a decision that a lot of young women have to make every day. It's not something that I would advise for people, but it also is something that I understand that if a woman needs to make a choice, like that should just go ahead and be her choice. But there's a lot of emotional and psychological things that come with that, and I think that's why I go so hard in my life, because, you know, there's always a void in me. There's always something that I always wonder what if about. So I'm like, well, if I could, you know, go through that experience, I have no choice but to be excellent in everything else that I do.
Wow. Smith, you good? I'm about to go to the next topic.
No, go ahead.
Okay. So, you know, like, that is a really, really like deep topic, because I mean, like you see now with them trying to change mandates and you know, so like things of that nature.
With what, abortion?
Yeah. Do you feel like a woman should have the choice in order? Like, should they have the choice, or do you think that?
Yeah, I think women should have choices. You know, I definitely think that, you know, choices. It's. I feel like, I don't know. It's like it's murky waters, right? So if you're religious, you'll be like, no, don't do this, whatever. And I don't really consider myself to be religious. I feel like I'm more spiritual in a sense. I think people should have the choice, but I also think that people should understand the options too. So, you know, there's a double, like I've seen both sides of someone going through having a baby and struggling. And, you know, their baby has to grow up in a situation where they're always constantly living in struggle and trauma. But then I also see the other side of it where, you know, you can get an abortion, but then you live with, you know, certain guilt, shame, and just some of the emotions that come with it. I mean, it's a double-sided coin. regardless of, what side that you choose, there's always going to be some sort of things that you have to deal with. But nevertheless, I think it should definitely be a choice for people. And, and if they know their options and if they have the right support around them, then, I think it's easier to make a decision.
Yeah. The choice comes before you have sex. The choice comes before a baby is created. Like, does the baby have a choice? And to me, I think that abortion is getting normalized way too much. It's being used as a way as like birth control. And I think that it's wrong. And it's not just about a woman's body. People, we say, like, at what point does this baby or this embryo or fetus or whatever we're calling it, because I don't think you can have an abortion right off the bat. It's almost a period of time that the baby has to develop for an abortion to even take place, right?
Yeah. They got Plan B.
So it's getting close to the point where the heartbeat is developing and the baby is actually growing and forming. And at that point, it just almost seems like, yes, you are taking a life, because the same person that says that an abortion is a choice, they normally have a limit as to when it stops being a choice. Okay. So like, they think that it is completely wrong to have an abortion at 8 months. Right? For what reason? What changed? The baby is still forming. What about if a baby gets ready to be born, but it's not fully developed anyway, even when the pregnancy comes to term? If the baby is missing a limb or something like that, where the baby is it okay to abort the baby at that point just because it hasn't fully formed? I mean, I don't know, but to me, you described it very well by saying that it is a murky area. But I think that for a woman to have an abortion for any reason, I think that's not right. I think that it should be at least some valid reasoning as to why this abortion should be taking place. And I don't think that a woman or a man that pays for an abortion is just as wrong in my eyesight, by the way, as the woman that's going to have it. So the men are not to escape this window. I'm not judging the person who has the abortion, but I am judging the act of abortion. So anyone who does this act or whatever it might be, they're all, equally wrong, including me. Like, I have paid for it, an abortion before. Okay. So I'm not, and I was unconscious to what it was because the option is so readily available and made so accessible, and it's just like a part of life. And I'm telling you, man, like, you have to be mindful of when people do things, because sometimes they're just not even conscious. And, if I get canceled for this, say it, okay, go ahead. But to the wicked that they might do, because it's traditionalized so much. You're participating in this thing that's so bad, so much. Similar to us going to, not eating fast food is necessarily wicked, but it is unhealthy. But people do it so much, they're not even conscious that I'm doing an unhealthy thing a whole lot to the point it's going to be to my detriment. And that is how we are normalizing so many things. The street fights that I'm seeing kids record in school, and beating, and the terrible, like, the things that we listen to and that we are taking into our body is desensitizing us to everything that's not supposed to be a part of what we're supposed to be participating in. And so much that we doing all kind of terrible rituals and different things commonly. And And it's like I got to tap dance around the fact that I think abortion is some bullshit.
Well,
Just so I'm not offensive.
Right.
Like, you know, like.
But I just want to speak a little bit to the other side of it. Like, to me, I feel like it's still a woman's choice, no matter if I think that she shouldn't do it. Because
It's her choice to do what?
Wait.
It's her choice to do what?
Wait. So I'm saying it still should be left to a woman's choice on
To do what?
To abort a child if she would like to.
Is it a woman's choice? Is it a woman's choice to? I hear you. I hear you. But no. My question is this.
Hold it just for 1 second.
My question is this: is it a woman's choice to kill a child who has been born? Is it her choice to do that?
I want to finish my point,
But I'm asking you that.
I'll answer that right after I get done. Right. Because the reason why I say women should have the choice is because, like, for instance, a woman has a child. I mean, like, a woman can have a child and then drop it off at a fire station and nothing is done in that. It's not like she's going to get called for neglect. If a man did that.
She should.
But I'm going to tell you, Smith, we can only.
She should.
The Bible said respect the laws of the land. We can only, like, we can't take the gloves off.
No, I'm not respecting a wicked, immoral. No, I'm not going.
Wait, Smith.
I cannot agree with that, though. That's ridiculous.
But, like, I feel a woman should have the choice
the
because,
laws of a land. It's
because
wicked.
I can do what I want to my own body and nobody can tell me that I can't. I don't think you should be
It's
able to
not
tell a woman
her
what
body.
she can do to her body.
It's not her
and
body.
what she can't. And, like, for instance, if we don't
It's a
have
child's body.
If we don't have the place for it, then people are going to go back to the old rituals of falling down steps on purpose, taking hangers and putting up those. People are going to do it anyway. Why not have a safe, humane place for this to happen?
It's
inhumane. It's going to happen.
You cannot say let's have a humane place for something that is inhumane to take place. Like that's it's an oxymoron, bro. You cannot have that. There's two things that are clashing against each other, bro. You can't say, let's have a humane place to sell drugs, man. Because if we don't do it, then people are going to go find it anyway. Like, no, bro. You cannot base moral things with some immoral meter as to just like try to give it some type of standard and safe space to do it. It's wrong. It's absolutely wrong. And it's okay that it's wrong because some things are wrong to do. And you could say that it's simply your perspective, and that's fine. And I'll go with that too. That is an interesting perspective. But from my perspective, I say, you know what? Man, for somebody to go and hit somebody upside the head after they have worked a whole week, got their paycheck, and somebody else comes along and robs them and takes their money, I think that that's wrong.
And we have hospitals to care for those people. That's been done wrong.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the action, though, bro. It ain't about the safety net to help this person. What about the person dies? What's the hospital going to care for then? So what I'm saying is, all I'm telling you is some things in life are wrong.
Yes.
That's the only point that I'm trying to make. And that's something that we probably could all agree on, is that some things in life are wrong. And so abortion, to me, I think that just because things get normalized, just because things are legal, it does not make them
immoral.
Right.
Right.
Regardless of what the Bible says. Period. Like the same Bible that says that obey the laws of the land, man, it was that same law that sentenced Christ to death.
Yep.
Was that right?
In the eyes of the law.
Was that right to you, man? We not trying to litigate. I'm asking you, is that right to you? For someone who never did anything to anybody and dedicated his life to help somebody, is it wrong for him to be executed for that?
It was his dad's word that he was going to die for our sins.
Is it right to you, though? Is it right? I'm talking about the act. Yeah, is that right? Is that right to you? Is that right to you for somebody to die for your sins? No, it's not right. It's not right. There's no question about it. Is it right for you to be driving? If I'm driving you somewhere, bro, and you got a gun in your car and the police pull you over and you stash the gun underneath the seat and I go to jail for that, is that right?
Nah.
Well, then if you wouldn't let me go to jail for that, how would you let somebody that's perfect in every way, and the Son of God at that, die for you.
Cause it happened before I was born, man. Like,
come on, he's not answering the question. You're
I'm
not.
Tap dancers, man. You know that.
I know you are, because you are very wise, bro. And you know, you know it's wrong. It's wrong for somebody to die for you when they didn't do nothing wrong, and it's wrong for a woman or a man to assist in this woman killing their child. I don't know if it's anything worse. And you having sex out of recreation and not doing it for the real purpose of love, connecting, bonding, and building a family. And when it backfires on you, you kill your child. You're wrong. Period.
Right. So, so weird transition.
Yeah.
So education at work.
Man, so how did you?
Everybody hashtag cancel Smith in the comment section, please. So,
Let's go.
Education at work.
Oh, that was fun.
Yeah.
I think that was my first big girl job, so to speak.
Okay, so I mean, you accomplished a lot to this point. I mean, to like work for the radio station. You know what I mean?
Television.
Television.
Make a point.
And then now, this is your very first big girl job, right? So like, what was that transition like for you?
It was a lot. I mean, I was probably the youngest person in leadership. I was the only black woman. That was a huge responsibility for me. I always just felt like I had to perform. I always felt like I had to excel and to show myself, or to show that I knew what I was doing. I mean, and I did well, but I think it was around that time when I started to realize, like, okay, this can't be it. Like, there has to be more. And I wanted to start a business. So that idea just started to come to me. Like, I need to start a business. Then I finally came up with the business idea. And then I, had the courage to say, all right, I'm giving my 1 month's notice because I'm going to go start a business. Right. And, I did do that. Like, I went to start that business.
What was that business that you started?
My first business ever was a business called Barter Babes. I used to teach women how to barter in their business. Nice. Because people don't necessarily have the capital that they need to start businesses. Bartering is another great opportunity. So, if I know how to market my services and, you know how to do your investing portfolios, listen, I'll market your show if you show me how to do stocks.
Exactly.
We make that even exchange. So, that was my first business. I failed in that business ultimately because, people love the idea. They love the concept, but I could never monetize it. So I actually started working with a business coach. Like, at the time I was married, my husband's like, you're about to spend thousands of dollars to talk to somebody. I'm like, yeah, I need to figure this out. So I talked to a business coach and she's like, your background is in media marketing. Like, why don't you do that? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. Why don't I do that? So then I started the current business that I have called Speakerazzi. And so even since then, that's what I've been doing.
I want to pause real quick, right? So like in the story, right? So just keeping things linear, right? You went from, success, graduate early, valedictorian, go to college, doing well there, leave from that college to go to another college, excel there, graduate, after being like vice president of it, and you didn't even like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you didn't even put your name in a hat, like they elected you. What was it like to finally taste defeat for the first time of trying to, because at this point you've been doing very, very well, and then to say, I'm betting on myself this time again, and finally hit, like, you get punched in the mouth for the very first time.
It was scary as hell. I mean, it was really something that changed me. Like, it makes you know, like, okay, like, you can fail. Like, at that point I felt like I could never fail, but at that point, like, I just couldn't figure out how to make it work. But then, I recognized that failure is a part of the process. Like, a lot of people start businesses. Like, I'm learning that a lot of people will start different things. Their ventures may not necessarily add up to the way that they thought it was in their head, and that's okay. The beauty of entrepreneurship is learning how to solve a problem. I feel like if you're always solving a problem, you'll always have a business. Right. At the time, I thought that I was solving a problem, but, it really wasn't a viable problem for me to be solving. So, I just kind of chalked that up as, it's a great idea, but this isn't the right problem. Right. What is the right problem that I should be solving right now? And when it came to it, marketing was the biggest problem that a lot of business owners have problems with. You can look at any numerous reports, whatever. Most of the time, marketing is going to be at least number 1 or 2 on a list of things that they're having trouble with.
Right.
So, that's a problem that I knew that I could always solve. Just being, in a media background. At that point in time, I was doing like a lot of stuff on the side for other people, like side social media projects and things. So I just felt
Makita
like
Matthews.
You know Makita? Do you know Makita?
I do my research. I don't know Makita.
Do you? What? That's my girl. Yeah, I love Makita.
Yeah, so like you helped her with her problem, which
Yes.
was she wasn't good at like graphic skills. So like,
Correct.
In what ways did you kind of help her?
I helped Makita with a lot. I mean, Makita, we did photo. So that was another past life photographer. So photo shoots. With Makita, I used to do videography. Did you look in your research to see I did a documentary?
Yes, come on now, don't play with me.
Okay, just making sure. But yeah, the film, photography. I mean, just creating different things for the brands that she was making. So yeah, she's definitely one of my first clients ever. That's so funny.
Okay, dope. So I mean, we spoke about documentary. Might as well tell us about it.
Oh, that was a life-changing project. Crystal Turner, longtime client and friend of mine, in Columbus, her daughter owned a string of daycares. And she and her brother were gunned down by her ex-husband at these daycares. Fortunately, no kids were there, but they were murdered at the daycares. And, it was devastating. Crystal's life changed. She had just, this grandmother just retired. Now she's taking on new kids and, from her daughter, dealing with trials and everything else. So, she fueled that pain in the purpose by starting an organization called Mothers Helping Mothers. So they, it's a community in Columbus where the mothers get together and they talk about, just how they lost their child to gun violence, whether that's through the police, whether that's through somebody that they know, whether it's a miscellaneous killing. And we created a documentary about it. So the documentary literally chronicles the lives of about 7 different families and their stories. It was very critical for us. We actually premiered it at a theater in Columbus. It was a sold out show. And, it was something that she's able to use now. She's able to use that documentary to champion her purpose, which is really helping families find relief, because it's called the new normal. Because, everybody will tell you after somebody died, like, oh, I'm going to be there for you. I'm going to be there for you, blah, blah, blah. But, after a couple of weeks, where are those people? And then, where are those people who are dealing with that grief? Grief comes in so many different stages, and you never really know how it's going to hit you. So I wanted to show the different stages of grief, because everyone in the documentary was at a different stage. Like one of the ladies, her son had just died 2 months prior to us doing that. Whereas Crystal, she was 4 years in. So everyone was at a different process, but I wanted people to see just kind of the different realities of it.
Right. To me, I always looked at Columbus like more of a polished place than here, but recently, gun violence is more prevalent there than some of the bigger cities. Can you kind of speak on what is the real reason behind it, or can you surmise what?
I can only give you my perspective of what I think it is. I think gun violence is pretty big. People in Columbus are just very how people say you go from 0 to 100. There are some people who are coasting at 55, 60. People are already dealing with a lot of stuff. And, all as it takes is the wrong person to say something to you, the wrong thing, and people just go instantly. It's kind of like a thing in Columbus now. I can't even go out, because this might be my last time going out tonight. It's just certain spots, even spots where people say it's safe in Columbus. You just never know what's gonna actually happen. So I just think a lot of people are dealing with a lot of things, and violence is just kind of. Even when I was in middle school, if you had a problem with somebody, it was okay. We about to fight. What are we going to do? That was always the mentality, and that has carried on with people even into adulthood.
Wow.
So I just think there's a lot of underlying anger and things that people are dealing with. And, when it comes to just certain situations, that's the only tools that they have to resolve problems is violence.
So, you venture off, and then eventually you start putting together your book. I seen the book coming, the Skinny Black Girl's Guide to Freedom.
Yep, that was my first book, and then I just wrote a children's book last year called Hey Black Girl.
What is your writing process? I'm asking that because I'm clearly just got done with my second book, and my writing process is kind of weird. What is your writing process?
My writing process is all over the place. I wrote my children's book at a hotel in Vegas. I was at a writing conference. And I was like, oh, I want to write a kid's book. Like, what are the words? And, you know, I was a rapper in a past life, so everything just started rhyming. My first book was really, like, I used to make, like, a lot of motivational Facebook statuses and posts. So I took, like, the bulk of those things, and then I just expanded on them.
Oh, wow.
So, and that's the thing. Like, if you write a lot, you know, if you have a podcast or something, so that's something that I teach a lot of my clients. Like, repurposing is everything. Find things that you already have. There's a book inside of everybody. You just have to figure out, you know, what are the things that you've already put out there, and how do you take and expand that?
That's hard. So, what was like the so like was your first book like accepted the way you wanted to, or did you want to do things differently? Because my first book, I was like, on the business side, I did it all the way wrong. Even though it's free, I still get paid on a free book, guys. Do not get it misconstrued. You get paid on a free book called royalties, right? But my second time around, I did it the right way. Is there one thing like you learned from the first book that you took into the second book?
My first book, the title was everything. I think the first title of my book, The Skinny Black Girl's Guide to Freedom, I messed up because people are like, oh, well, that's just for skinny girls. And I'm like, no, it's not. Like, there's things that anybody can learn. Yeah. Like, it's not just for skinny girls. Like, you know, I had to defend that a lot. And if I could go back, I would retitle the book, because that falls into branding.
Yes.
And being able to brand something, you know, it has to be easy for people to remember, easy for them to say. And when people look at it, they have to be able to relate and identify with it. Because if you don't relate to skinny black girls, then it's going to be like, well, this ain't the book for me. Right. So I think that's what I would do differently with that first book. My second book, I feel like it was perfectly titled, Hey Black Girl. Like, you know, like people will always remember that. You know, I did like a poetic reading of it to go with the book, so you know, when people read the book, they can hear my voice, so they know exactly how it should be read and everything else. So I think that was the biggest difference. I think I would go back and change the title to make it more marketable.
And that is my same gripe with my first book. My first book, I named it 5-Step Beginner's Edition, right? And everybody know what I'm talking about when it comes to stocks, but not if you're just reading the title, 5-Step Beginner's Edition. To what?
To what?
So my second book is titled way better, you know what I mean? So,
but you know, you could revise that first title,
I
right?
definitely did. I was just being funny with you.
Oh, cool. I just wanted to make sure.
So, so Ohio Media School.
Okay, that was fun. I loved Ohio Media School. Actually, before I worked at Ohio Media School, I worked at the International College of Broadcasting, which is here.
ICB.
I was the first social media instructor. I created the social media curriculum there.
What?
Yep, I was the first. When I was in transition, you know, starting my business, I would drive to Dayton from Cincinnati every other day, faithfully drive an hour to come teach my class.
Wow, man. Hey, shout out to my man, Day Ray, man. R.I.P. Day Ray. I literally went down there, and that was the first studio I seen. It was like, oh my God. Like, they got everything. Yeah, everything. That's dope. So, eventually you start the Pink Lemonade podcast.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, tell us about that.
Pink Lemonade, that's my baby. I
love
love
Pink Lemonade.
podcasting. I started podcasting in 2015. At the time, my ex-husband, had started a Cloth Talk podcast. So I was like, dang, this is so dope. Like, he had the camera set up because he wanted his to be like this, like a video podcast. And I'm like, I want to do the same thing, but like, what am I going to talk about? Like, I don't want to interview people and everything else. I'm like, I'm just going to do a short podcast. I'm going to see how it works out. And so, like, I would just release these micro podcasts, and then people just started listening to it. Yes. And eventually, that got bigger than my blog. So I'm like, I'm just going to keep podcasting because people seem to like this way better than the blog. And that's just where the industry was going. I mean, people still read, but podcasts are beautiful because, you know, you don't have to give up anything to listen to them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, you can watch this. It's great that you guys have this platform where people can watch it, but on the audio level, you don't have to stop and read. You don't have to look at it. You literally can be driving or washing dishes, and you can still consume content. So that's what I love about it.
That is the reason why I fell in love with podcasts. Like, I talked to Smith a lot about this on other podcasts. The reason why I quit my job because I couldn't get my earphones. I ran over my earphones one day, and then the other day I left my earphones at home. I was like, I'm not going to work. I can listen to podcasts today. I quit my job full time.
That's crazy.
Over podcasts, man.
Yeah.
I love podcasts. But yours actually was 40K download, like 40,000 downloads.
I have over. That's probably old what you saw. Yeah, I have over 65,000
Jesus
now
Christ.
in 50 countries.
So they listen to you over in China right now.
I think so.
Hi, China. We love y'all, China.
They do.
Word. So what what would be like a go-to podcast for one of our listeners? Just one. It's gonna go there to like listen.
One.
I'm saying just one viewer gonna go there because they're gonna stay listening to ours. But we're gonna send one viewer over there to find out.
To find a podcast.
Yeah, which we want.
I would definitely say one of my favorite podcasts. Oh my God, what is his name? Oh my gosh. It's the social. I had to give it to y'all because he just did a podcast and I loved it. He did it with what's that girl's name from Wildin' Out? Simone.
Mm-hmm.
He did an interview with B. Simone, and it was like one of the best interviews I've ever heard.
Wow.
And I cannot think of the man's podcast, so I'm not going to use that one. I would say a podcast that I love to listen to and learn from is the Gary Vee Experience.
Okay.
That's one of my favorite ones. It's only because I'm into marketing and he talks a lot about business.
But I'm
marketing.
asking about your podcast.
Oh, one of mine. Oh, you ain't
Let me
say
shout
that.
other niggas out on here, man. What you
ain't
thought this
say
was,
that.
man?
You ain't say that.
Man, we the God cap. Look, we the best one. I'm just gonna go ahead.
No.
What was the competition like?
I definitely would say the most recent one, How to Find Peace When You Feel Like You're Under Attack.
Yes. Can you talk to us like a little bit about that? How do you find peace when you're under attack?
How do I find peace when I'm under attack? I think the biggest thing is relinquishing control, realizing, and I think Smed talked a little bit about this earlier, just recognizing that, you know, you only have control of the things that you have control over. Like, you have no control of what other people do.
Exactly.
Like, you know, you can't put yourself in a position to try to control what other people do because you just end up driving yourself crazy. You really take away your own power when you try to put power on other people. So I think that's really the biggest lesson that people will learn from that episode.
Okay, what? Hey, how you doing? So I'm a you talk about the term enough, right? What does the term enough mean to you?
Being enough means that you're adequate. Like, you know, you're not just meeting the bar, you are the bar. You know, like, you are.
That's a bar.
You know, I think the most important thing is, and I'll give you an example. You know, I dabble in the Bible a lot, and I was reading about being humble. You know, a lot of times when people say humble, they mean like take it down a notch. And being humble is not taking it down a notch. Being humble means stepping into who God says that you are. So, you know, that's what I think enough is being who exactly God says that you are and who you were created and designed to be.
That's hard. So here on the Legendary People podcast, we have a thing called the butterfly effect, where is there something I said, is there something you said during the course of the interview or something I found during the course of my research that I found that was truly profound and amazing? Just like you have this cool, calm demeanor to yourself that it's truly infectious. Like, you could just be here and just be like this, and I feel like we're so professional here today. Even though me and Smith are we just feel like here last weekend, you know what I mean? But seriously, like, you really carry yourself with this, like, you know what I'm saying, like this honor, you know what I mean? And to hear your story of where you came from, having to deal with people that were bullying you because of things that, you know, like during the time of you hearing it, you was like, oh, it hurts my feelings. But growing in your maturation process, you saw, oh, those people are hurting also. They're doing that because they're lacking something, and I am enough. Just every legend that we have come in here, they always have these stories that being Smith it's jaw dropping to hear someone say, I didn't even try and they were amazing at it. You have so many different stories of that. I mean, whether it's the vice presidency. I mean, you was the first Kamala Harris in the hood. You feel me? Like that to photography to what, like, you even did it just for sport one time. You went to the dunk contest just to show them that you could dunk when you didn't even want that job, when like they wanted you to, like, they were saying like you couldn't become that teacher. You went there, just under leg dunked it. No problem. Let me go back over here though. That right there is so empowering when you think of people that always have that thing in themselves that says they can't. Like, I always think of that thing where, like, it's like this meme where someone says, what if I don't? And then it says, what if I do? You know what I mean? You are like the exemplary definition of that. And I want to let you know, like, whatever you've been through has only powered you to where you're going. And I want you to continue to build upon these principles. I mean, I want to do one of your legendary quotes. So legendary quote is, you said, every black girl needs to know that she is powerful beyond measure. The world can be scary and intimidating without affirming that she is beautiful, smart, and most importantly, enough.
That's on the back of my book.
Nice.
Thank you.
Real good. One thing that I wanted to just build with you on, and I know that we've been going for a little while and we could wrap it up, but you're doing something that's extremely major right now with the West Dayton Incubator.
Yes. So one of the reasons that I'm back down here in Dayton, it's weird because I've been an entrepreneur. And I never wanted to go back to work. Like, that has never been a priority of mine at all. But one of my friends was like, you should check out this job. You would be really great for it. And I'm like, a job?
Working for somebody.
Do I want to do this again? But then when I saw the description and saw everything that, they wanted out of the incubator, I'm like, this is it. Like, this is for me. Like, I really feel like this is a God-given mission for me.
Right.
I've been in this capacity working with entrepreneurs through my business, just with other various projects. But to come here, I feel like my life is full circle. Even from that time that I was an 8-year-old girl coming down with my dad, cleaning buildings with him on the weekend and coming back here now. Like, that opportunity that I saw, like, I feel that is still here. Now it's just in a different form. So I want to be able to help businesses in West Dayton. People have so many different perceptions about people in West Dayton that I think that are totally false based on what I know about West Dayton. And I want to see businesses grow. And like, it's not even just about starting a business, because we talk about people starting a business all the time. My biggest thing, especially for Black people, like, how do we sustain these businesses, right? Like, how do we not just build a business, but how do we really create wealth? How do we create legacies? How do we build businesses that can be passed on to our children, nieces, uncles, whoever? That's the thing that's most important for me. So by me, being here, having this opportunity to work through the Greater West Dayton Incubator, this is really an opportunity for me to take all these different miscellaneous experiences that I've had and put it to some use to help businesses grow. Like, that's all I care about at this point.
That's amazing.
So what exactly is the West Dayton Incubator?
So an incubator, and that word is so weird.
It is weird because I'm thinking of like the practice of doing like an incubator.
Yeah, I mean, essentially that's what it is. It's really a place where you help bake businesses, where you're growing these businesses, right? So we do that through funding. We have a micro loan program. We have a pitch competition that people can get into. We are doing our first event. Our first event is called the Business Blitz Boot Camp, and it's a miniature accelerator. So it's an opportunity for you to legitimize, digitize, and capitalize your business. So if you have a business, and we all know the person who's selling chicken out their house, selling dinners to people, but they don't have their LLC. They can come to the Business Blitz. We're going to pay for them to get their LLC. We all know the entrepreneur who, we see them out selling things, but they don't have an internet presence. They don't have a website. They can come to the Business Blitz, build a one-page website, or get their social media audited. They can come to the Capitalized session and learn how to build your business funding plan, right? There are grants and loans and different things that are available for people, but, what are the prerequisites to get these things, right? Like, we hear about them all the time, but what is it that it really takes for you to really get these things? Right. And that's ultimately what we want to do with business owners, is just to prepare them, because, like, there's so many different barriers to business, and I feel like, there's going to be a lot of things that people are going to have to figure out themselves as entrepreneurs. But as an incubator, if we can remove some of these, common barriers that people have, I think it just leaves people in better shape.
Wow.
That's really cool.
That is super cool.
Kind of get you prepared in order to be able to go and apply for the money that you're looking for.
Absolutely.
Or just a social media audit, a website audit. All of that is very critical for a business, man, especially how people are being able to find you with search results, your SEO, how you ranking on Google. I mean, all of these things are just real key factors in your business being able to be found when people are looking for what it is that you're selling. So, that's great. When is it? When is
the Business Blitz starts February the 12th. Our applications are open, so you can go to thegwdi.com and fill out an application. We are limiting it to 50 people for this first round. My prayer is that in the next quarter we'll be able to expand it to add more people to it. But
spell it for me one more time.
thegwdi.com.
thegwdi.com.
Di.com. Yep.
So the link to register is
Yep, it's right on the
is-
homepage.
Yep, and it's in the comments too, so anybody will be able to go there.
Yeah, so if you're a new business owner, aspiring business owner, or an existing business owner, we have a little bit of something for everyone. So I definitely want you all to come through.
Now I got it in there.
You got it? Okay.
Yeah. The GWDI.com, right?
Mm-hmm.
Greater West Dayton Incubator. All right. The link is right there in the comment section. So, Whitney, my observation, man, just in talking to you, I hope this don't sound too strong, but the word genius comes to mind.
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
You know, the cool thing about geniuses is a lot of times they don't see it in themselves because they're so focused and driven on their next accomplishment, you know. And though we all see you and see the things that you've done in the past, and we marvel at these things and be like, dang, man, that is so cool. She's major. You got your eyes on another prize, you know. And when you are in the process to getting where you have to go, you really can't say I've left there, so I'm doing okay until you actually get to where you're going, you know. But for you to not be from Dayton and get put in a position to help so many people right here in the city, man, that is so amazing, man. And, you know, for people who are looking for this funding, for people who are looking to better their business, just listen to what we're telling you guys today, and don't think that this is not for you. Like, sometimes people don't believe that something good can actually happen to them, but this isn't one of those situations. Like, this is something good, and not only can it happen for you, but it's actually here for you to do, you know. And I appreciate the fact that when I won my award, you know, man, Whitney was the one that called me and, you know what I'm saying, just told me like where to come, and was down there making sure that business owners was getting recognized for good stuff that they was trying to do. So, you know, I wanted to just tell you that I appreciate that. But all of the cool stuff that you have done is so amazing, man. I'm like, I say this all the time about our good guest, is that when people like you come through, it just validates our show, you know. You come in and add value to the show.
Yes.
So now we say, man, we had Whitney. I mean, you are an author. You done so many more things than the West Dayton Incubator. Yeah. And that's why I was like, well, you are doing some cool stuff. Come on down. But all the things that I've learned about you, graduating early, writing your own books, going to Wilberforce, being vice president at Wilberforce is truly amazing. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate you coming through.
Thank you.
No doubt about it.
Being here. This was dope. I feel like what's that show? It's the dude that's on YouTube where he like knows all the stuff about the rappers, and they're like, "How did you know that?" The crazy dude with the glasses.
I just posted it on our thing.
I can't think of his
Noriega.
name.
No. What the heck is his name? It's Nard Ward.
Yeah.
That's
how I feel right now. I'm like, how does he know that? How does he know Nikita? Like, what?
Yeah. Research.
That's good, but that's what a good journalist should do.
Thank you.
No doubt.
Look at that compliment.
Right.
Man don't never compliment me, man.
Man, you did an amazing job today, bro. You always do, man.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it. So, Smell, you gonna take us out?
Yep. So you guys, Whitney, we want you to close us out with some words of wisdom. But before we do, we want to give a shout out to all our sponsors, man. Everybody go to Shiekhs for breakfast. Agnes All Natural. Y'all see Destiny right here in the corner. This is her first day back at work. She been down for a couple of days, but you know,
she's down, but she's still around.
Man,
right?
You feel me? She does all kind of cool stuff around behind the scenes, man. So everybody give her some hearts in the comments.
For sure.
But Shiekhs for breakfast, Agnes All Natural Grill for lunch. If you're ever injured, call attorney Michael Wright, 937-222-7477. Make the right choice. When you want to get lit a little bit, get you some Kiara Wine. Contact Antoine Cunningham on Facebook or go to More for Less. And then when you get ready to buy something online, go to the shoparea.com. They like the baby Amazon. Delivery is always free from the store to your door in 4 business days. And this is T-Shirt Kings, Gold for Your Mouth, Camera Kings, and Sell Stocks Not Dope Dash Resource every Sunday at 8 p.m. on the Dash Resource channel.
Yes.
Whitney, I want you to take us out with some cool words of wisdom, and then we will be out of here. We love everybody. We coming back tonight with Shantae Richardson, who is throwing a major party, man, you know, and she wants to tell her life story and kind of talk about how she got to the point where she is throwing our parties. This is Matriarch Monday, where we got the queens coming through nonstop twice on Monday.
Yeah.
And so without further ado,
It's over.
Whitney, over to you.
Bodied it.
The most powerful words that you can say is I am. And what you put after that is entirely up to you. So choose your words carefully. Words create worlds.
That's hard. That's hard.
Wow. All right, you guys, man. We love everybody. Peanut, what you got to say?
Legendary People Podcast. Legendary people, legendary stars.
Yes, sir.